So today we're going to be building a $500 pure performance gaming PC. In order to do that, we obviously have to use a couple of used parts. We actually only have one today. But before we talk about the used component, let's go to our CPU and motherboard combo. It's actually not a combo, but it is right this second. Because the CPU I bought was a Ryzen 5 5600 from AliExpress. However, for the first time in a really, really long time, my 5600 actually came with bent pins. AliExpress is usually very trustworthy as long as you buy from a trusted AliExpress seller. But this 5600 actually had a couple of bent pins in the corner. So before the stream, I had to use a flathead screwdriver, unbend them, and then kind of finagle it into the motherboard. I don't think it's that big of a deal if I uninstall it, though. Or we'll do that later, actually. We'll do that later once we start building. But yeah, we have that. It did make its way in there, so it should be perfectly fine. But I did have to deal with that for a little bit today. The motherboard we're using is an Asus Prime B450M-A2. And if you have been trying to build a super budget AM4 gaming PC in the last couple weeks, you'll know that this has actually been a hidden gem. This is going for $70 over on Best Buy, and for whatever reason, motherboard prices of the budget B450 boards have been going up like crazy. It is so annoying. But Best Buy has been holding on to these. I actually bought this through eBay, or it was on eBay through Best Buy, or maybe vice versa. It was on eBay, but Best Buy was selling it. So for 70 bucks, this didn't used to be a good deal, but in today's market, it unfortunately is. So we have that. For our RAM, we got some G-Skill Ripjaws 5, a 32 gigabyte DDR4 kit clocked at 3200 megahertz with a CL rating of 16. This costs $50 brand new on Amazon. I've said this a lot over the last just couple weeks now, but the price of 32 gig DDR4 kits has gotten to the point where I don't really recommend, unless if you're on a very, very, very ultra build, I don't really recommend that you go with 16 gigabytes anymore, because for 50 bucks, you can get the 32 gig kit. We know more and more games are starting to utilize more system RAM, so that's why we got that. Next up, for our ultra budget $500 pure performance PC, we have the Team Group MP33. This is pretty much the cheapest 1 terabyte NVMe drive, just Gen 3. That's all we need with the B450 motherboard. 1 terabyte. This cost me $48, brand new on Newegg. There's a lot of other options that you can go with around that $47 to $50 price range. Just go with whatever you find a good deal on. To cool our 5600, we have the Vitro V5. Very classic. This has been around for like 5 years now. It has been updated for AM5 though, probably 10 years to be honest. This is $28 on Newegg. This often goes on sale down to like $23, $25, so keep an eye out for that. But it's just all black with an ARGB fan on here. 28 bucks. Cannot go wrong with that. For the power supply, we got another MSI Mag A550BN, Tier C, 80 plus bronze, non-modular at all, 50 bucks, brand new on Amazon. This is available pretty much every day of the week. For a very budget build like this, I'm perfectly fine with going Tier C. Now for the case, it's a DIYPC case. Micro ATX. It comes with 4 pre-installed RGB fans. There's one at the bottom that you can't really see. This is the DIYPC ARGB-R1 ARGB-R1-BK. Has anyone black? Has anybody heard of the R1? I've never seen this before. $53. $53. Very clean design. Again, 4 ARGB fans. I think it's going to be pretty good value. We shall see. And then finally, for the graphics card, remember, it had USB-C on it? Oh, I didn't even look. If it did, that is wild. Wow, it does have USB-C. That's crazy. All right, for our graphics card, this is the Asus Dual 5600 XT. So with about $500 to spend, my GPU budget was about $100 to $120. Unfortunately, the 5700 XT, which I would have loved to use, that's at like $140 to $150 still. I couldn't squeeze that in under $500. So we got the 5600 XT. The other choice around that price point, around that $100 price point, is a GTX 1660 Super, which I understand a lot of people probably would have went for instead. But this one performs much better. Well, not much better, but consistently better. 6 gigs of VRAM, which is limiting, but it'll definitely be enough at the settings we'll be playing at for a $500 PC. But yeah, it is the RX 5600 XT. That's what we're going to be using. That is all the parts. Combine that with the 5600, we'll get some pretty solid 1080p, anywhere from low, medium, high on the easy titles. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to uninstall this CPU. That way we can film me installing it. If you oh man, that did not feel good. If you missed what I said at the beginning of the stream, AliExpress sent us a few bent pins. There's no way you're going to be able to see this on camera. I did my best to fix it. Yeah, there's no way you're going to be able to see this. There were a few bent ones in the yeah, sorry. But I bent them back and fixed it. That way it fit. If it fits in here, it's most likely going to work, as long as you don't jack it up or anything. AliExpress, we've been having really good luck. But, I mean, you could get bent pins from anywhere, obviously. But we're going to start this PC build now. And, of course, we're going to put the 5600 back into the motherboard. And it does go in there because the pins are good enough. There was a little bit of resistance because of that bent pin, but as long as it goes in there, as long as it latches down, we should be good to go. Bent pins are not the end of the world. As long as you can gently bend them back into place and don't break them off or bend other pins in the process or do other nonsense, you should be good to go. Next up, I'm going to take my RAM. Again, this is the Ripjaws 5, 32 gigabyte kit. We're going to put them in slot 2 and 4, working our way from the left. They can only go in one way because of the notch in the center. Apply pressure on both sides evenly till it clicks. Slot 4, boom. RAM is now installed. Next up, I'm going to do my SSD. Just now realizing that I don't have an SSD screw, and since this is a budget motherboard, we don't have any of those fancy toolless latching systems or anything. Your motherboard box, we'll need this as well. Your motherboard box will come with the SSD screw that you need. Mine actually requires a standoff as well. So I'll show you what that looks like. Yeah, the IO shield will definitely need to. Satisfying clip it is. Okay, there we go. Alright, so this motherboard actually doesn't even come with the standoff installed. So the SSD is going to go in like this. And you can't, I can install it right now. And it's going to screw into this screw hole on the motherboard. But there's no standoff there. I've seen some people actually install it like that, like just screw directly into the motherboard. That's gonna warp your SSD and probably break it over time. So you definitely don't want to do that. So in the motherboard box, this one came with both a screw and a standoff. So we need the standoff first, which will give us a little bit of height. That way that SSD can sit on there nice and flush. The reason that they do that, you really only see this with the budget boards. With the more expensive boards, the standoff will already be there. But there are different sizes of SSDs and just M.2 components like a Wi-Fi card. Sometimes they're only this long, the 2242s or the 2260s. So by not installing the standoff, it lets you pick where you're going to install it. But for most PC gamers, you're just going to have a normal 2280 length SSD. And you'll have to put the standoff there. So after I have that, then I installed the SSD. Now I'm gonna push it down and screw that screw into the standoff that I just did. And now that is installed. See the standoff right here? Boom. SSD is installed. We are good to go. So next up we have our cooler, the last part of the motherboard prep. Again, this is the Vitro V5. All black heatsink, which I really like about it. Super clean. And then a black 120 ARGB fan without a sticker, apparently. And then we got our accessories here and our instructions. Okay. So we need to find the AM4 instructions for this. Intel, AMD. We're going to install these brackets onto the CPU cooler. And then it looks like we're going to install that directly into this the back plate that it came with. Easy enough. Sometimes CPU coolers will utilize the back plate that comes with your motherboard. Makes things nice and simple. All right, we don't need Intel. We got our screws here. Oh, I forgot to look if it installs on the top or bottom. The top. Okay. So it looks like we're going to take these like this. Don't need to remove the sticker just yet. Yeah, so those are going to sit like that. And then we're going to use these 4 screws and screw this metal bracket right into the CPU cooler. That's not right. Okay, this tape is getting in the way. I can't do it. I gotta remove it. Alright, removing that now. It's official. It's official. We did not forget. Try and angle that. I know you guys can't really see it, but boom. That's what it looks like. That looks backwards? No, it's good to go. Actually, it does kind of look backwards. But that's what it says to do. Yeah, no, I mean, that's good. No, it's not an Intel build. This is an AM4 build. That one's installed. Now we'll do this one as well. What's your camera orientation? I don't know what you're talking about. Horizontal? Landscape? Will you flip this PC? I mean, no. This is just going to be for a $500 pure performance build guide video on YouTube. We'll sell it during our monthly drop, but it's not a flip for profit or anything. Boom, there we go. So now we got the bracket installed. Just like that. And apparently, that's going to screw directly into the backplate that comes with our motherboard. So we'll first want to uninstall these plastic bridges on the motherboard. That's these things. I'm going to throw mine away. Feel free to keep yours if you want, but we don't really need those. Like that. And then we have this backplate here. I'm just going to lift it up so you can see it. Most AM4 motherboards are going to come with this. So right there. And then that bracket is just going to screw right into it like that. Before we do that though, we obviously need some thermal paste. HY510. This is a massive tube of thermal paste. This is what we use at the office most of the time. I don't know why one of my employees bought these. Other than probably just good value. This is what it looks like. This is a normal tube of thermal paste. This is the massive one. Yes, it's massive. Yep. Definitely massive. All right. Oh, incoming ad break. We got to install this in less than a minute. Alright, got our P dot method right there for AM4. That is all you need to do. Flip that over. Make sure our V is orientated properly. Line up these screws. And then I'm going to screw these down in the star pattern. That way we evenly apply pressure to the CPU and don't crank down on one side and cause any damage. And then once they're all lightly threaded down there, then we can tighten them all down. Boom. Look at that. We got 8 seconds left. All right, I'll take a break for these ads, and then we'll work on the power supply after. There we go. Boom. We do have one more step here with the CPU cooler fan though, and that's to use these metal brackets. They are just going to hook into the holes of the fan. Actually, they're going to hook into the bottom holes. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's the top holes, sometimes it's the bottom. It's going to go in like that, and then just going to push that and wrap those around the actual heatsink. That way it locks into place. And we orientated that so the fans of that, or I'm sorry, the cable of those fans is at the bottom. And then that way I can just plug in my PWM fan connector and just hide that underneath the heatsink. Just jam that under there. That way we don't see it hanging out. Like that. Pretty good. And then we have our RGB or our ARGB connector, which we will use a little bit later. So here it is. Our motherboard is prepped. Again, if you missed it, we got an Asus Prime B450M -A2 motherboard. The Ryzen 5 5600 from AliExpress. 32 gigs of Ripjaws 5 DDR4 3200 megahertz CL16, a Team Group MP33 1 terabyte NVMe, and then a Vitro V5 cooler. Very budget, but still decently powerful enough motherboard setup right there. Boom. So next up, we have our power supply. This is going to be very easy prep because it's the MSI Mag A550BN, which is not modular. So all of the cables are already plugged in. And we're also not using any cable extensions because we wouldn't want to do that for a pure performance build because, like the name suggests, we only want to spend money on parts that move the FPS per dollar metric, which cable extensions obviously do not. So this is the motherboard that we're going to be using, or I'm sorry, the power supply that we're going to be using. Just kind of unbend some of these just a little bit. There we go. And boom, that's good to go. We got our 4 screws for later. And now we can get out our case. And again, if you missed the intro, this is the DIYPC ARGB-R1. Unless if somebody corrects me, like I said, I think this is a new case from DIYPC. And for $53, we haven't used it yet, but for $53, I'm thinking that this is going to be some serious value. Micro ATX, all black, 4 pre-installed ARGB fans. Oh boy, this does not look good though. This is the starting point. Let me zoom out a little bit. This is the starting point, which is what you would expect from a DIY PC case. The depth here is actually not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's decent. That's not great, but it's not terrible. That depth is pretty good. We do have a ton of room for cable zip tie down points, which is not bad. We got the full power supply basement that we can stuff all those cables into. That's actually a pretty tall PSU basement, a little bit taller than normal. So we got plenty of room for stuffing cables down there. And like I said earlier, we do have a USB-C connection on there. Our B450 motherboard is not going to have a USB-C header, so we're not actually going to be able to use it. But I did not expect that coming from this budget of a case. That is not too shabby at all. For the ultra budget cases, this is the accessory box minus the box. They just twist tie a PCIe bracket and a couple of screws and a speaker onto there. And we did get this nice little instruction booklet. That's what the case is going to look like, hopefully, when all of the ARGBs are installed or turned on. Oh yeah, how are we powering that? Okay, so there's no hub. Oh, and no button. Yeah, no LED button this time. Just a reset switch. So, oh, wait, never mind. Oh, never mind. That was okay. I take that back. That is an LED button because these ARGB fans, I guess, are daisy chained into this SATA power, and it looks like we do have one extra connection here that I can daisy chain into, which means we should be able to tie in the CPU cooler into this ARGB daisy chain. That way the button on the case should be able to control all 4 of these fans and the 5th CPU cooler fan. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Alright, let's see if it actually all works though. So first we're going to install our IO shield. And try not to cut yourself. This is definitely a hazard when using super budget cases though. Particularly on this step, because with budget cases they use cheap and sharp materials. They also usually don't help you out with the standoffs, and I can see that we need to install two standoffs here, so we'll do that now. This is what the standoffs look like if you haven't had to do this before. They screw into your case. That way your motherboard has something to screw into. Without a tool, I mean, you can hand tighten it a little bit, but you definitely can't hand tighten it in the whole way. So if you don't have a tool, you would have to use like needle nose pliers or something. Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to even just hand tighten. What makes it easier is if you have one of these standoff tools. So on one end of this standoff tool is just a Phillips, and then you put the standoff in there. That way you can use your screwdriver to screw that in, which is much easier than trying to hand tighten it. And then I'm going to go up here and tighten the one that I did hand tighten. Yeah, kind of weird that it didn't come with a standoff tool though. But not a huge deal. Now we have our motherboard ready to go in. We're going to make sure that we don't bury that ARGB connector for the fan. And line that up with the standoffs. And then we will take our motherboard screws and secure that down. What's the motherboard? It's the Asus Prime B450M-A2. Motherboard prices for AM4 right now, at least on the budget side of things, is really, really bad. Some of the classics like the Gigabyte B450M DS3H Wi-Fi, the ASRock B450M AC R2.0, like those types of classics have been MIA for maybe a month or two now. Thankfully, Best Buy has been selling this Asus Prime for $70. And if you don't see it on Best Buy also sells it via eBay, which is how I bought this. It's still brand new. It's just from Best Buy. But yeah, $70 is the going rate for these right now. Damn scalpers? No, I don't think scalpers are scalping budget B450 motherboards. That'd be a bad day if they do, but I don't think they are. I don't know this, but I think we might actually just be getting to the point where supply is legitimately going down. Not like fake NVIDIA supply going down, but legitimately supply going down just because AM4 is almost a decade old now. AM4 has been out for almost 9 years now. So yeah, we might just be at that time. Unfortunately. Got one more standoff right here. And then boom. We got all the screws screwed in there. Nice and tight. And now I'm going to install all of the connectors. First, I'm going to route that RGB connector in the back there so I don't forget. And now I'm going to untwist tie this rat's nest right here. Like that. And this is just going to be like disgusting for a while. Oh my god. Oh my god. What do I do here? Oh my god. So many. Oh my god. So bad. So many cables. Not a great starting point. All right. Let's get. Oh, nope. Don't want to do that. That we need. Okay. So we're going to get this bundle out of the way. And this is so this is for the fans. We're just gonna tackle these. I'm just gonna use a bunch of zip ties. Start cranking away at this. This first bundle is just for the RGB fan daisy chain. We're just gonna zip tie these together. Our zip ties will be overlapping a little bit once we get everything in here, but we at least got to get this somewhat organized to start. Yeah, that's going to be able to come over here. So this is, I think, what we'll be able to daisy chain the CPU cooler fan to. So I'm going to plug that in now. So I think all 5 fans are good to go. We will definitely want to test that out later. And then we can put that bundle like over here. Like that. Are your kids brain rot? No, they're 5 and 3. They don't know what brain rot is. They are in a big Magic the School Bus phase, which is a show that I don't actually feel guilty about them watching, because it's actually pretty good information in there. And I watched it as a kid too. Magic is amazing. It really is. I forgot how good it was. It's solid. Love Magic the School Bus. The one show I really want to get them into is Rocket Power. Dexter's Lab for the win. I watched that. That might have been like the 90s version of Brain Rot though. Did Dexter's Lab provide any value? Such a shooby. Linus is a shooby, man. It's on Paramount? Thank you for the hookup. Although I don't have Paramount. Good reason to get it though. Wildcrat? Yeah, of course they're into Wildcrats. That's a good one. Wildcrats is like this decade's version of the Magic School Bus. Yeah, Wildcrats is pretty good. It's not as good. It's definitely not as good. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Not as good as Magic the School Bus, but it's up there. Wildcrats was so peak. How old is Wildcrats? I thought that was kind of new. Some of you are saying like it's been out for a while. Hey Arnold? Yeah, I don't think there's much value in that one. I liked Hey Arnold as a kid, but I don't think there's a ton of value in there. Not that they can only watch things that provide value, but they don't watch that much TV, so when they do watch TV, I feel way less guilty if they watch something decent. 14 years ago for Wildcrats? Oh my god. I didn't know that. More than 10 years? Wow. Okay. Alright, so just continuing to zip tie some of this madness. I think we got most of that stuff good to go. Now we just have this crazy bundle. All of that I just did was pretty much all of the RGB fan daisy chain, and then this is like the real cable connectors that all need to be plugged in. Well, all of them other than the USB-C, because again, this case does have a USB-C connector, which is shocking. Budget cases 9 times out of 10 do not come with a USB-C connector. But this one does, but unfortunately our B450 motherboard is not going to support it. So that will just be kind of hanging there. Wasting space. So now I'm just going to, I know you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm just plugging in the HDD LED in the bottom left. Then we're not going to have a reset switch because of the LED. I got my power LED positive and negative. Oh my god, I just unplugged the HDD light. Power, positive and negative. And then my power switch in the top right. Pull that. And then we also got a USB 3.0. I'll show you all these connectors as soon as I'm done. That's in the bottom. That's plugged in. And then we have an HD audio. That's almost always going to be in the bottom left. Can't see, it's too dark. There we go. And then a USB 2.0. Plugging that in right there. Okay, so here's what I just did. All these connectors, HD, still probably can't see it, HD audio, USB 2.0, USB 3.0, and then all the case stuff, power LED, power switch, etc. Everything for this motherboard is at the bottom. And again, the one thing that we have loose here is the USB-C. We have nowhere to plug that into for our B450 motherboard. So before I install this power supply, I am going to do my best to like kind of take care of this. Oh my god, this is so bad. This is the definition of a rat's nest back here. Bill Nye the Science Guy. I don't think I watched that outside of like school. I think my like middle school used to show some videos from him, but I don't think I watched it outside of that. Gonna have a ton of time to cable manage? No, we're trying to make this. We're gonna make this one quick, Doc. This has got to be a quick build with the solo parenting gig over here. And then that's gonna go like this. And then we can probably just, yeah, just big zip tie down here to just take care of whatever this bundle is. This is gross. Like that. And then for aesthetics, we can do one more right here. Cable management is definitely not the strong suit of this case. The case itself actually isn't terrible for cable managing. Like, there's a lot of zip tie down points. It's just the fans have a ton of cables, so that's just why it's difficult. But the case itself isn't all that bad. There we go. Okay, so this looks absolutely crazy right now. But if we cut off, how many are we at so far? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're at 10 zip ties already before the power supply goes in. But as you can see, it's not terrible. We got this whole thing going on, which isn't great. Oh wait, no, 11. I missed one. 11. There we go. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad for having to hurry. That's not bad. I do have a little bit of bunched up down there, and then at the bottom here is that SATA power, which is going to power all of the ARGBs. So now we're going to get our MSI mag A550B in. Always fan side down. That way it can intake fresh air through the vent on the bottom of the case. Slot that into there. And then I'm going to use the 4 screws that the power supply came with to secure it to the case. What games do I reminisce on? Currently, I am actually reminiscing on Madden 2006 and Midnight Club 3. I've been reminiscing hard on those games. Dub Edition, yeah, of course. Dub Edition. Not Remix, though. I didn't have the Remix as a kid. It was just Dub Edition. The Remix, I think, added like DLC or expansion or something. I didn't have any of that. But yeah, Madden 06 got Ben Roethlisberger rookie year, or second year, I think. Yeah, second year. Still got the bust, Jerome Bettis as my running back. I did make a trade for Larry Fitzgerald. All right, so now I'm going to plug in the 24-pin motherboard power cable. And then pull that cable back. And then I'm going to grab my 4+4 for the CPU. Untangle it before I plug it in there. Route that up and over. Then plug that in like that. And then our 6+2s for the graphics card. There is a power supply hole here. It's a little bit oddly placed. It's all the way over here. It's like the case is anticipating that you're gonna put in a huge 3-fan GPU. See how it comes out from right here. Not a big deal. A little bit weird though. And then before I stuff these cables down, this is why we strategically placed this SATA power cable right here. Again, that's powering the ARGB fans. I'm going to plug that in to the SATA power connector. And then I can stuff these extra power supply cables into this HDD tray, along with that USB-C connector that we aren't using. And then we just need to zip tie down a few more for this 4+4 and the 24 pin that I just installed. W cable management, I don't know about that, man. I'm doing my best with the $53 case and being on a time crunch. Could you do better? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Probably not. This is, I mean, this is good enough cable management. I call it functional. Functional cable management is definitely my style. Just enough to close that side panel and not look super ugly. Functional cable management. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, for your own personal builds, 1 is 0 cable management, 10 is Instagram worthy cable management, and 5 is like functional cable management. Where are you guys at for your personal builds? 1 through 10. Okay, Shauner Mod says 6.9. Nice. 10? XBB says 10? Okay. -5. A lot of 5s. A lot of 5s. 7s. 3s and 4s. 7. Another 10. Couple -5s. First time chatter says -5. That sounds legit. 6s, 7s, 8s. I want minimum 7. Okay, nice. What is cable management? 10 on the motherboard side, 5 on the back side. That's actually exactly what I aim for. That's literally what I would consider this build and pretty much every build that I do. 10 in the front, 5 in the back. Yeah. That is pretty much what I go for. 5 on both sides. That's not good. Oh, no, you can't have a 5 on the front, man. YouTube chat might not be as on point with the cable management, provided if everybody is telling the truth. We might need to fact check. We might need to fact check XBB's 10 out of 10, he said. Can this system play Rust in 1440p? No, this is a $500 gaming PC, my man. No, we're not playing anything in 1440p. It's a $500 build. Okay. Boom. There we go. And that's about it for the zip ties. I just added one more here. Let me cut this off. One more here for the 4+4, and then one over here for that. So we got this. This is what it looks like. I mean, that's not terrible. I consider that functional, right? Is that about a 5? Now we just got to get our RX 5600 XT. Again, this is a $100-ish used GPU. Another one to consider is definitely the... Take that off. Is the 1660 Super. But this one does consistently beat the 1660 Super. Oh, wow, that's a pretty big GPU. Wow. So that's why I got this one instead. But the 1660 Super is a decent option as well. 1660 Ti, yeah. A little bit better. Gonna bend off the breakaway PCIe brackets, and I'm also gonna install the one that the case came with up at the top, because we don't need that one for this motherboard. So right here where my finger is. I'm gonna install that before I put in the GPU. Put that in our top X16 slot. Like that. Get 2 screws to secure that down, and then we'll be good. You should mention in the video that if you repace, you might get 1 to 3 degrees better. Yeah, I mean, the video would be an hour long if I said you could do this, you could do that, you know. My videos are all about sharing just my experience, you know. I'm not a big take apart a GPU type guy, and especially not a hour process type of guy to save 1 to 3 degrees. That's just not my style. But yeah, I know some people definitely are. Can I use 1 screw? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you might as well use them all, but 1 screw is usually all you need. Secure that in there. And then for the power, this is the only part that's not going to look super clean, because with a budget power supply, we have the I guess daisy chained 6+2s, and one of these, to make things worse, is actually just a 6. So not only do we have to use both of these, which ends up creating this loop right here, which just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, but this is a pure performance build, so that's not our focus. But then we also have that extra 2-pin hiding, so I usually just tuck it in right there, and then it doesn't look so bad. And then what I'll usually do is zip tie this 1 more time, just so that big loop here doesn't look so loopy and big. Just one, actually I'll do 2 zip ties. Just making it look a little bit more presentable. There we go. Now it kind of has the illusion of being one big cable, but... And then we'll rotate those zip ties behind the cable, that way you don't see them. There we go. Just like that. And with that being said, actually, let's put on our back panel first. Make sure this back panel goes down. That's one final look at the cable management. About 5 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10 if you're feeling generous. Where'd my... There they are. Looks clean enough. That's what I'm thinking, man. What are you building this for? This is just for a YouTube video, for a $500 pure performance build. And speaking of which, there it is. Very clean. All black. We are going to have some ARGB action going on. Not too bad, though. Not too bad. Let's do a quick test to make sure that everything was plugged in. Make sure that daisy chain works. On the ARGB cooler, that's the one thing that's kind of the wild card right now. Make sure what we're looking for is that all 5 fans are spinning and getting RGB action. Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay, it works. You lose the RGB color, though, with just a little bit of an angle there. I mean, this is like they're definitely bright, but the way that grill is set up, you lose that RGB color very quickly. Make sure they all change at the same time here. Where's my button? There it is. Yeah, look at that. There we go. Not bad for a $53 case, man. Again, this is the DIYPC ARGB-R1. It is on Newegg right. That looks good, man. That looks really good, actually. Dang. Yeah, it's right now available on Newegg for $53. Overall, I mean, I would say it's definitely worth it. We didn't have any hiccups with that case whatsoever. Cable management, a little bit of a pain, but not too bad. No hero shots? Yeah, the hero shot's gonna be really, really difficult to nail. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Like, the fans are fine. The fans are nice and bright. But that grill, you just lose it so quickly. I've never seen a front grill do that before. That's wild. But yeah, that's it. That is the $500 pure performance gaming PC. I'm going to make a full YouTube video on this. Ryzen 5 5600, 32 gigs of DDR4, 3200 megahertz, CL16, and an RX 5600 XT. Should give us some solid 1080p, low, medium gameplay. All that for $500. Oh, and I didn't realize we got some RGB action on the GPU. Not bad.